This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia. Here is your host, Kevin Captain.
Good morning and welcome to Volusia Today. I'm Clayton Jackson and I'm joined by my co-host today, Pat Kewen. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Volusia Today is made possible by our sponsors, the Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. So good morning, Pat, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. And driving up here from Port Orange this morning, I noticed the skies are a little bit less smoky, so that's good news for us.
I agree. I live in Port Orange as well, and I was driving in yesterday to work, and I just remember I yawned and I got a little whiff of smoke all of a sudden. I had a cough for a second, but I did not experience that today. So you're right. It looks like the smoke is clearing up. And to kind of go along with that topic, we have two very knowledgeable people regarding the world of fire services, and we're very excited to get in with them. We have on the show today, we have Julie Allen, a public information officer for the Florida Forest Service. And we have Chief Smoak. That is a beautiful name for a fire service with the Volusia County Fire Rescue. So before we get into everything, Julie, we'll start with you. So we've been working a little bit together. It's been a little hectic lately with the fires going on, and keep hearing acronyms. FFS, let's call FFS. They have a command on this. So tell us what FFS is and what you guys do.
So we are the Florida Forest Service. Several years ago, we were called the Division of Forestry, so it's super easy for everybody to just say DOF. And our amazing dispatchers with Volusia County always it's DOF. But we are now the Florida Forest Service. We, as an agency, we manage 1.1 million acres of land for multiple uses to include timber, recreation, and other, wildlife habitat. So that's what we are as an agency. But as the lead agency in wildfire response, we cover all of the wildfires, burn permitting, and things of that nature.
Oh, wow. Well, Pat?
Hey, and I hear that next week is Wildfire Awareness Week. So what's that all about?
So Wildfire Awareness Week was actually developed after the 98 wildfires. And this year will be the 25th commemoration of those devastating wildfires that we had here in Florida that scorched several million acres. So it just is a reminder to residents of Florida. And, in the last several years, we had a tremendous influx of people that have moved to our beautiful state. It's just a reminder that we do have wildfires here, so it's just an educational purpose, and we celebrate by providing all kinds of information about wildfires, how you can protect your home, your communities, and be prepared for a wildfire.
Oh, very good.
So wildfires, armadillos, and bears. I'm a Kentucky native, and I moved here in 2016, and those are three things that I was not aware that Florida has. So armadillos aren't as scary as wildfires and bears, but that when I guess in our perception we always think wildfires, we hear out west, all those so forth. But it's great. And what type of awareness events does the service plan on doing next week?
So it'll definitely be where we reach out to our community partners such as Volusia County Fire Services. We can provide talks to communities, homeowners association groups. We'll be visiting some schools in the area to talk to kids about wildfires and how they can talk to their parents about wildfires and have a plan for their family in the event that there is a wildfire.
And will there be any posts on social media, like tips and so forth? So we always want to encourage the listeners and viewers that to check out the FFS, the Facebook and Instagram, so forth, to find those tips and tricks as well.
Sure. There will be a big social campaign that we will talk about wildfires, wildfire preparedness. We'll include some Smokey Bear stuff, because remember, only you can prevent wildfires. So we'll have some information on our social media sites.
Oh, wonderful and wonderful. So, again, I said it's been a little exciting here lately, the last couple of weeks. And there are actually some ongoing wildfires right now. So you want to tell us a little bit about those and what the status of them?
Sure. Currently, we have 9 active wildfires here in Volusia County. The larger of them all is the Double Gate Fire, which is close to Tiger Bay State Forest. That one, last night, it is deemed 100% contained at 1,901 acres. The other ones are the Pinewood Fire, which is close to that fire as well. That one is also 100% contained at 111 acres. All of our wildfires that we have in Volusia County are 100% contained now.
Oh, that's great. Now, I'm a veteran of the 1998 wildfires. Of course, I wasn't a firefighter, but I lived through it and all the ash falling on our cars, and it felt like the entire county was on fire, and we even had to evacuate Flagler County. So do you think we might be seeing a repeat of that?
I don't think that we'll see a repeat of the 98 wildfires. There's been, so much development here in Volusia County and Flagler County as well. We don't have that urban interface. That's where the woods meets the back of the homes or communities. So I don't think that we'll see devastation like we did then because of development, but also because of the efforts of fire prevention and mitigation. Scott and I have the incredible opportunity to work together on a lot of projects and programs where we have gone into communities and reduced their wildfire risks.
Right. I know you've been doing a lot more prescribed burns, and that's a great thing.
Absolutely. There would be, Florida leads the nation in the amount of successful prescribed burns that are conducted, and that plays such a huge role in the reduction of devastating wildfires here in Florida.
Oh, good for you.
All right, so kind of go back to when you said all the wildfires have been contained.
Yes.
So does that mean that the wildfires are completely extinguished, that there's no more burn, or?
No, when we talk about containment, we use dozer plow units in suppression of wildfires. So those dozers are plowing containment lines around the fire. So when we say it's 25% contained, that means that those dozers have got 25%, lines around 25% of the fire. So when they're 100% contained, that means that we've got a line all the way around the fire. And, while they're working on containment, there are other dozer plow units on that fire as well that are improving those lines. They're widening those lines, creating like a super highway around the fire to stop the forward progression of the fire. But when we talk about controlled, when we say it's controlled, that means it's dead out. There's no smoke, there's no active flame, it is out.
So just out of curiosity, once you have deemed it 100% contained, about how long does it take for, like I said, to be controlled, like actually extinguished?
Well, that really depends. Where the Double Gate Fire is, we did a lot of prescribed burning on our forest. So once it hit where we conducted that prescribed burn, or those prescribed burns on the forest, it stopped the progression of the fire because the fuels were reduced. When we talk about fuels, we're talking about hazardous, dry, dead vegetation. So once it hits that area where a prescribed burn was conducted, it slows the progression, and then once it hits that containment line, it stops the progression. So our crews are going to be out there several weeks. They're going to be working on what we consider mop-up operations. That's where, we're getting assistance from our partners with Volusia County Fire, where we're turning the stumps over, we're spraying a lot of water out there, again, improving those containment lines until there's no smoke showing, no active flame or anything like that.
Oh, good. Now, do you have some safety tips for people, how they can prevent wildfires from getting to their homes, and what they can do to actually prevent wildfires in the first place?
Well, fires are going to happen here in Florida. And Florida is a fire-dependent ecosystem, so fires are naturally happen in Florida. So before there were homes and businesses and all of the amazing amenities that we have here in Florida, it would every year would burn. And so, and every 3 to 5 years, it would burn all the way across the state. We have those afternoon lightning storms. So the ecosystem here depends on that fire to thrive. It reduces cluster of fuels, hazardous fuels, it reduces that. So what we encourage communities to do is have a plan for your community, number one, in the event that there's a wildfire, whether it's evacuation or things of that nature. Just have a plan for your family. The other thing we tell people is have that defensible space behind your home. So if you have that urban interface, or where you have woods behind your home, we encourage communities to have 30 to 50 feet of defensible space behind their homes. So in the event that a wildfire does happen in that area, it stops the forward progression.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, but stick around for more Volusia Today.
Get ready, it's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Hey kids, safety in the kitchen is important for you too. So mom and dad, when you're in the kitchen cooking, make sure you create a 3-foot safety zone around the stovetop to keep the children safe too.
Go to volusia.org and check out the virtual classroom. It's made for kids, it's awesome, very informative, and it's fun. Check it out at volusia.org.
Practicing good fire safety habits saves lives.
Get ready, it's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Here's some quick tips for fire safety in the kitchen. Never leave your cooking pots unattended. Have a pot lid nearby while you're cooking. If you do have a fire, never put water on it. Put your lid on, take it off the heat, turn your burner off.
Go to volusia.org and check out the virtual classroom. It's made for kids, it's awesome, very informative, and it's fun. Check it out at volusia.org.
Practicing good fire safety habits saves lives.
Get ready, it's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Another good tip for the kitchen is safety for the children. We want to create a 3-foot zone of safety around the stovetop so that children can't access and get burned.
We're back. I'm Pat Kewen along with Clay Jackson, and you're listening to Volusia Today. This is a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia. Our next guest is Scott Smoak, who has an interesting last name. He's the battalion chief with Volusia County Fire Rescue, and he specializes in wildfires. So good morning, Scott. Let's start off with what Volusia County Fire Rescue can offer to residents besides fire safety.
Well, for our fire service, we not only do the fire rescue, throughout the county, but we also provide educational opportunities. We'll go to schools, we'll go to different community events and just talk about fire safety. We'll talk about what firefighters do. We'll show off all our equipment. Everybody loves a big red fire truck. And so we like to show that kind of stuff off and talk about and just have that community involvement with everybody that we deal with on an everyday basis.
Very good. Now, we just talked with Julie about the current wildfires. And can you give us some tips about what residents can do to prevent wildfires, things like outdoor burning and not throwing your cigarettes out the window?
Yeah, so with outdoor burning, we want to make sure that people, burning like they're supposed to. And, we do have ordinances and we do have regulations and setbacks that people have to abide by. And, basically any type of outdoor burning, we just want people to burn vegetative material only. So if they're doing land debris clearing at their house, cleaning up their yard, tree trimmings, things like that, that's the things that they can burn. No outdoor burning involves garbage or, recycling material of any sort. They don't want to burn that kind of stuff. The other thing they can do is just make sure they keep their yard and their property manicured and safe and mowed down, keep the grass mowed down, keep the trees trimmed up, keep the trees trimmed away from their houses, keep their roofs clean from all the leaves that fall. It's that time of year now where the oaks are getting ready to start, have dropped all their leaves. So there's a lot of accumulation of oak leaves and pine needles. And so we just encourage people to clean their roofs, clean their gutters, clean up around their house so all that kind of stuff doesn't burn up along the side of their house. Keep it nice and clean.
Right. My brother just visited me from Arizona, and he had a good laugh when he saw that I had weeds growing out of my gutter. So I got up on the ladder.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is when my wife comes back from a BJ's or Sam's Club haul with a bunch of cereal boxes, chip boxes, and so forth for the kids, I probably shouldn't go out in my backyard and throw them in a barrel and light them on fire?
Nope. Definitely not. Those definitely put into the regular trash hold, dispensing or recycling if you have that available at your house.
All right, just want to reiterate that for some of our listeners, because I do hear of that happening sometimes.
It does happen often.
So say somebody would like to get a permit to burn stuff. How should they go about doing that?
Well, here in Volusia County, anybody can burn on their property as long as they meet the regulations and the setbacks, as long as that pile or the area that they're burning is less than 8 feet in diameter. Anything that's larger than 8 feet in diameter, they have to call the Florida Forest Service and get an authorization to burn. So Florida Forest Service handles anything larger than 8 feet in diameter. Anything smaller than 8 feet in diameter in size, they can do it as long as they meet the certain setbacks and requirements that they're allowed to burn.
And would they contact your office directly?
No, actually, they don't have to contact us for a burn permit if it's smaller than 8 feet, as long as they meet the regulations. And they can go onto our website, and it's all on there in reference to what the setbacks are. They have to be so far away from a road, their house, other houses, woods, things like that.
So smaller than 8 feet, that's fine?
That's fine.
Larger than 8 feet, they need to call Julie's team at the FFS.
Most definitely.
All right, that's good. That's good.
Now, at some point this summer, it's possible that we might issue a burn ban. And I'm wondering, how dry do things have to get before you declare a burn ban here in Volusia County?
Well, historically, what we've done is when the KBDI, which is a drought index that we go by, that is monitored, usually when that hits around 500 or a little over 500, historically, that's what we have done in the county. As an average for the county right now, we're not there. Now, there are certain parts of the county that are over 500 in reference to that drought index, but as an average, we are not there at the moment. So we look at this every day. We have communications and talked with Florida Forest Service every day about that kind of stuff and make recommendations. And ultimately, when that comes up, then there will be more discussions with the fire chief and other administrative people in the county to make that decision when they're going to issue that burn ban.
Oh, okay, I get it. Now, where are the driest parts of the county?
As of right now, the driest parts are usually when I looked at it earlier today, the driest parts are in the southern part of the county and also on the southern west and the western part of our county. So, DeLeon Springs, DeLand, Orange City, Oak Hill, Osteen, the southern part of New Smyrna area, Edgewater. Those are the driest areas that we have right now in our county.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so we had a red flag warning a few weeks ago. I think a lot of people understand about the flag warning and so forth, and they visit our beaches. They understand the different levels, the dangers associated with. But what is a red flag warning in the fire world?
Well, there's actually two different types of red flag warnings.
Oh, okay. There we go.
One of them is issued by the National Weather Service based on certain conditions, humidity, percentage, winds, and temperature. And then there's another red flag that actually the Florida Forest Service issues based on other things, and I can actually turn that over to Julie because she could actually explain that a lot better than I could in reference to what a red flag is.
Sure. So the Florida Forest Service would issue a red flag fire alert. So and that really depends on different levels. So we're talking about lack of rain, we're talking about the drought index, we're talking about resource availability, personnel availability. It's just something, different levels of where we would issue a red flag fire alert, not to be confused with a red flag warning, which is issued by the National Weather Service.
And does that how are citizens informed of when a red flag warning or watch has been issued?
The red flag fire alert or the red flag, the one that the National Weather Service. So the National Weather Service would put that information out, and Scott would share that information with residents of Volusia County. In the event that we issued a red flag fire alert, we would definitely share that with our partnering agencies. We would contact our media through a press release, through social media, and things of that nature.
Yes. Oh, wonderful.
Okay, now we already talked about fire tips for residents. We have them also posted at volusia.org/fire. And also on there's a map of fire hydrants and fire stations. And Scott, I'm wondering, is that just for Volusia County Fire Rescue, or does that include city fire departments as well?
As for the hydrants, that's
Yes.
every hydrant that's in Volusia County, no matter if it's in the county jurisdictional area or if it's in the city jurisdictional area. Those are all hydrants. The locations of the fire stations are those of Volusia County fire stations themselves. If they want to know where their fire station is in the different cities, they can go to those city websites and find those locations of that.
Okay, and which areas does the Volusia County Fire Rescue provide service for?
Anywhere that's considered the unincorporated area of the county. But we also have agreements with every city in the Volusia County that we respond to any calls. Basically, it's called the closest unit response agreement. So no matter where the emergency is located at, the closest fire truck and the closest first responder unit is going to go to that location, no matter what jurisdiction it's in.
Oh, that's great.
So we definitely help each other out all the time.
Well, before we take another break, I just wonder, how do the different agencies collaborate? Like, for example, if we understand that there's a fire that's broke out, or the wildfire, how do y'all collaborate of, who makes the phone call, who says, we are in command, we have jurisdiction, or we need your support, or no, we can handle this. How do this FFS and, Volusia Fire, how do y'all collaborate together?
Well, usually it comes in through the 911 system. Someone calls 911, comes into our dispatch center. The fire service, Volusia County Fire Service, or the city or whatever, usually is the first one to get notified of that. And then we make the notification to forestry. Now, forestry, there are times where people call forestry directly, and then they will call us for assistance. But when we get to wildfire, I mean, for us as a fire rescue service agency, our thing is to protect life, property, and homes and structures. And then of course forestry will come in there and they will contain the fire and try to control it as best as they can. So we work really well on that part of it. And in reference to when we get on scene, it's kind of what we call a unified command. We work together. We make tactical decisions together. We discuss things back and forth, and we set those different operational needs up as based on what the situation is at that time.
All right, wonderful. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Get ready. It's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Here's some quick tips for fire safety in the kitchen. Never leave your cooking pots unattended. Have a pot lid nearby while you're cooking. If you do have a fire, never put water on it. Put your lid on, take it off the heat, turn your burner off.
Go to volusia.org and check out the virtual classroom. It's made for kids, it's awesome, very informative, and it's fun. Check it out at volusia.org.
Practicing good fire safety habits saves lives.
Get ready. It's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Another good tip for the kitchen is safety for the children. We want to create a 3-foot zone of safety around the stovetop so that children can't access and get burned.
We're back. I'm Clayton Jackson with Pat Kuhn, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia. And thank you so much for tuning in this morning. So before we wrap up things, I want to circle back to the burn regulation and ordinances. So Chief Smoak, again, I love that name, by the way. So Julie, does the FFS, do y'all have similar, different, comparable burn ordinances and regulations that Chief Smoak was talking about earlier?
Right. So we do have some regulations. As Scott said, if it's over 8 feet, we do require that they call to get a burn permit. Each day we set the regulations for the day, whether they can burn or not, and that would depend on weather conditions if we issue permits. It also depends on whether you are a certified burner or a non-certified burner. So we do have pretty much the same regulations. Needs to be so many feet from a structure, so many feet from the roadway, and things of that nature.
Now, is there any costs associated with getting a permit, or?
No. There's no cost associated with it. We just, we'll send somebody out to do what we call an on-site inspection. We'll send a ranger out, they'll inspect the pile, make sure that there's no household materials, which is illegal to burn in the state of Florida. So we want to make sure that there's no household or construction items in that pile. They'll do the inspection and say whether or not they're able to burn.
And sorry, one more. So if they want to burn something, is it they wake up that morning and say, I think I need to burn something? Can they get it done that day, or is there like a 2 or 3 day turnaround?
No,
like how?
typically that we can send a ranger out that day, that morning. However, right now, because we're responding to so many wildfires, it may be later in the day, a couple of days. It really just depends.
So we'll be prepared and look in advance, just be on the safe side, be planning to burn.
And are there penalties for people who burn without a permit?
There is. They're issued what we call a notice of violation, or an NOV. They are issued that. If they receive multiple notice of violations, then we'll turn that over to the Office of Agricultural Law Enforcement.
Oh, okay. Now, have there been instances where a personal burn on one person's property has exploded and created a large wildfire?
Unfortunately, that is. We consider that an escaped burn, and that is actually, during this time of year, it's actually one of the leading causes of wildfires.
Oh, my. Now, I've been to a few of these fire command centers. It's been a few years, but I was there at the Iron Horse fire down in southeast Volusia. It must be about 10 years ago now.
2011.
Oh, okay. And it's really impressive. These guys work together like the Army. You know, they're really on top of things. They have a good command structure, and I could see that we're in safe hands there.
All right, so kind of wrapping up things here. If somebody wanted to join the field, like work in the fire departments, the FFS, how would they go about applying? And what would be, obviously you all are very passionate about, but how would they go about doing so?
So for the Florida Forest Service, you can go to People First. It's a website where you can apply to be a ranger, a wildland firefighter with our agency. We provide all of the training, uniforms, at no cost to our new recruits.
And Chief Smoak?
And for us, you actually have to go through and get a certification through the state of Florida. It's a firefighter compliance certification, and you have to get your EMT certification from the state of Florida. And then you can apply with us on the volusia.org website for employment, and then we'll go through a hiring process on that part of it.
Awesome. That is wonderful news. Well, in closing, we want to thank our guests, Scott and Julie, and we want to thank you for listening to Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you to County Volusia. I'm Clayton Jackson. Have a wonderful day, Volusia County.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at 1-866-345-0345.